Welcome everybody to today's Tech Talk. My name is Mark van der Poel. I'm a SE, pre-sales at H3C. We're going to be looking at two product families that we feel drives real partner opportunities right now. Our Wi-Fi 7 APs based on 802.11be, and then our 10500 and 7500 campus core switches, the Dash Gs, because these are new. Some housekeeping. Questions are welcome in the chat under our Q&A section. So please post it in the Q&A section, not in the chat window. We'll also have a time slot at the end for any Q&A. The video, because we are recording this, will be uploaded to our YouTube channel later, and I'll share that on our WhatsApp group for you to see. And let's look at today's agenda. One of the things I wanted to mention though is there might be a bit of a salesy pitch on some of the decks, and this is to help the technical and pre-sales people to be able to explain on a business level why these solutions make sense. So I've made it a bit of a mix because I've noticed our pre-sales has started to be a little bit more business motivated as well. So I think we need to do that to help. So we're going to look at H3C's wireless leadership. We're going to look at the credibility before we look at what the products are. We're going to look at what's really new in 802.11b, why Wi-Fi 7 is that great. We're also going to look at then the portfolio. We have 17 models of Wi-Fi. So I want to show everybody that, and we can see what we have. Then we're going to look at our switching, follow the same format, what our credentials are, introduce the 10500 X-G and 7500 X-G, go into a little bit of a deep dive, and then 80 campus and partner sales motion, how we can win deals. So it is a technical session, but it has a deliberate commercial framing. So you know how to explain the tech and then how to position the information as well. So let me introduce myself briefly. So this is funny. You know what? I actually put my name in here and it didn't save. So today my name is presenter name. So apologies for that. I'm Mark van der Poel. I work as a pre-sales person at H3C. We cover Africa. My focus is on networking, on our CT product range, but I do support IT. All of us actually are cross-skilling at the moment to be able to cover at a high level our different products. And I've been involved in a few Wi-Fi 7 deployments over the last year or so. And so what we're talking about today is things that we've actually actively done and actively participated with. So let's start with the deck. So we're going to look at our Wi-Fi leadership. Before we talk any product, I want to show why H3C is a credible Wi-Fi vendor globally, because how do you position why H3C for somebody who doesn't know the brand? So, number 3 globally in enterprise Wi-Fi market share, according to the IDC in 2024. We have about 35 million APs shipped globally. That's cumulative. So this is a mature high-volume business. This isn't a new startup. We've been on the Gartner Magic Quadrant for 6 years. So Gartner validates us and validates our market presence. And we have over 500 live Wi-Fi 7 enterprise deployments in 2025 alone. So we have live references, we have real references that we can share. Some of our wins, our biggest market is in the higher education space. We have over 10,000 campuses already installed. 900 of those campuses are global, not just in China. In healthcare, we have over 500 hospital deployments, top 500 businesses and governments across APAC and the Middle East. And then in the industrial space, smart factory and warehouse Wi-Fi is where we've also seen substantial growth. So when a customer questions H3C's Wi-Fi credibility versus other larger Western brands, these are things that you can share as well. Another thing to note, you are probably aware that on our Wi-Fi 6 APs, we do have some Tolly references. We have learned that we are actually busy with Tolly right now on our some of our Wi-Fi 7 APs. We're expecting that report to be released towards the end of May, beginning of June. And that'll be another independent data point that shows our credibility as well. So we'll be releasing that as soon as we get it. I'll release it on the WhatsApp channel that we have. So let's look at the markets and let's see what the Wi-Fi 7 opportunity is right now. From our perspective, we've seen quite a huge growth. We saw an 11.8% growth in Q1 in 2025. In Q2, a 21% growth, in Q3, a 31% growth, and we're expecting above 35% growth in 2026. So according to those that know, Wi-Fi 7 APs will be about 50% of all enterprise AP shipments by Q4 in 2026. The demand is because of AR and VR. They need 1 millisecond latency, 4K video, high density IoT, and Wi-Fi 6 is becoming a constraint over there. Also, there are a number of organizations that have announced Wi-Fi 6 as end of sale. So those models reaching end of sale during this time period is a good opportunity to help customers make a decision now. So for our partners, the end of sale trigger is our number one commercial entry point. So we can identify customers who deployed Wi-Fi 6 in about 2019, 2021. That's enough time back. And those are hottest refresh opportunities. And so we can give them proposals on Wi-Fi 7. I've mentioned before, you've probably heard me say this, our Wi-Fi 7 products are actually quite reasonably priced compared to our competitors. And so upgrading to Wi-Fi 7 now isn't necessarily going to break the bank. So let's see why Wi-Fi 7 is technically different. It's important for us to understand the technical differences. And so I'm going to give you a few key essentials without getting lost in the weeds. So the first pillar is MLO, multi-link operation. This is probably the most important innovation that Wi-Fi 7 brings to the market. In previous iterations of Wi-Fi, a device connects only to one band at a time. Wi-Fi 7 MLO, you are able to have simultaneous connections across all three radio bands, so 2.4, 5, and 6 gigahertz on a single device. So the result is that a device connects with less than 1 millisecond latency as well as link redundancy, because if one of the bands has interference or something happens on that radio and it drops, the link is still maintained between the other three radios as well. Something to remember though is both the AP and the client need to support MLO. So devices that are enterprise grade, devices that have Wi-Fi 7 radios or receivers in them will be able to support this MLO technology. So that's something to think about as well. Obviously, devices that do not have Wi-Fi 7 capability won't achieve this. Another one is the 320 megahertz channel width. Wi-Fi 6E's channel width was maximum 160 megahertz. So in the 6 gigahertz band, moving that to 320 megahertz means more channel width, means more data per unit time. So that's about double raw throughput per stream that we get on Wi-Fi 7. So again, another compelling reason. Then the 4096 QAM, what this brings is we encode 12 bits per symbol versus 10 bits for the Wi-Fi 6 102.4 QAM. So that's a 20% improvement over there as well. This is most effective in strong signal environments like offices, conference rooms, clinics, areas like that as well. And then finally, 16 by 16 multi-user MIMO. So Wi-Fi 6 was maximum 8 by 8. That's 8 spatial streams. In Wi-Fi 7, we get 16 streams. So that's about 50% more concurrent high rate users in dense environments as well. So again, it makes sense to put Wi-Fi 7 and to future-proof our customers' networks as well. If you're talking to somebody who isn't technical, you can probably say something like Wi-Fi 7 is faster, it has lower latency, even than 5G and 4G cellular environments indoors, and handles more devices simultaneously, is more reliable under interference. So if you think about that, it's not just a it's a complete generational change. It's not an incremental update as well. So things have completely changed when it comes to Wi-Fi 7. So let's look and see what this means in real world performance numbers. So the WBA test, we did this test on our Wi-Fi 7 devices. So we are looking at 4.2 gig real world multi-client throughput. So that's multiple devices connected and running multiple streams. We achieve a peak throughput of 4.2 gig, which is pretty high. That's a lot higher than Wi-Fi 6E. So it's about 2.5 times faster, and it's 6 times faster than Wi-Fi 5 as well. And then again, we've mentioned the latency as well. One thing I wanted to mention, which I've forgotten about, is Gartner said that Wi-Fi 7's market share is 2.5 times to 3 times faster adoption rate than Wi-Fi 6 within the same time period. So Wi-Fi 7 is definitely accelerating into the market as well. So this is WBA test results. This isn't from H3C. This is third-party validated, so it's not something that we're claiming. That information is available as well. When you look at the generation comparison table, we're going from Wi-Fi 6E maximum throughput of 9.6 gig to a theoretical throughput on Wi-Fi 7 of 46 gig. That's huge, of a theoretical max limit as well. So it's a lot. So the use cases that we will look at this is AR or VR, gaming, 4K or 8K video, and then high density. So conference centers, lecture halls, open offices, things like that. Wi-Fi 7 is where we don't really need copper cables to get high performance anymore. So if we're putting Wi-Fi 7 in an office, we can reduce the amount of copper and make people truly mobile in any case, especially since most devices come without RJ45 ports on them in any case as well. So in competitive situations, if your customers ask, we have independently verified data. And then also you can ask if the incumbent has the same WBA certification that we have. And then the TOLI reports that are coming in the next month or two is something that we can also show as well. But we can talk about that in the meantime because the tests are actually ongoing right now with TOLI. So let's look at what the actual Wi-Fi 7 products are that we have. We have a full family. We have 17 Wi-Fi 7 APs. I'm going to cover the flagship models in detail and then show you one or two models that we can also consider and then show you the complete portfolio as well. So our flagship is the 7638. This we use in high density scenarios. It's a proper tri-radio, so it has 3 radios, 4x4 on the 6 gigahertz, 4x4 on the 5 gigahertz, and 4x4 on the 2.4 gigahertz. That's a total of 12 spatial streams. The aggregate maximum throughput is 18.44 gig. We've got dual 10 gig uplinks. We have a fiber 10 gig uplink and a copper RJ45 uplink. So we have redundant uplinks for HA deployments. And if you think about it, we have a capability throughput of 18 gig on an AP. You need 10 gig uplinks. Single 1 gig uplinks throttles the radio's capabilities. So that doesn't make sense. And then on top of that, we also have a fourth dedicated radio in the 7638, which allows for continuous scaling without impacting user traffic. So this enables real-time RRM with zero throughput penalty. So that's a key differentiator. The RRM is the technology we use to manage the radio output and performance. If you don't have this fourth radio, it means that to do this and to scan and to understand what's happening in the environment, you'd have to turn one of the radios off, a 2.4, 5, or 6 gigahertz radio. So that would impact user connectivity as well. And then obviously the 328 megahertz channel width, WPA3 enterprise, MFP, zero trust integration, etc., etc. So this AP has 3 modes. We can run it with our CloudNet platform. We can run it on-prem, managed via controller, or even integrated into a controller card that's in our 10500 or 7500 chassis. So something to think about. And then we can also manage it in anchor mode. So we can talk about that if you ever want to use that. So it's similar to other OEMs, custom mode or things like that as well. So the 10 gig uplink story is very effective versus competitors that only have single 1 gig uplinks, those that do. So 18 gigs, bottleneck down to 1 gig is 94% wasted capacity. So think about that as well. Then we're going to look at our 7338i, HI, which is our enterprise indoor AP. So this is one that we would use for general use where we need higher performance. The advantage of this AP is the 6 gigahertz radio can be reconfigured to operate as a second 5 gigahertz radio. So it's a soft switch. So it's still a tri radio, but you can have 2.4, 5, and 5, for example, as well. This one has 8 spatial streams. Its throughput is 17.2 gig. It's got a 10 gig uplink and a 1 gig dual uplink. And it's a full enterprise ready. So good for corporate offices, mixed client type requirements, retail, SMB to mid-market, where we need the enterprise performance like this as well. So if somebody says, a client says, look, 6 gigahertz isn't ready, we have older devices, then this radio handles both populations without compromise. So you can start off with this AP. Don't enable the 6 gigahertz radio, make use of the extra 5 gigahertz radio, and as devices start connecting with Wi-Fi 7 capability, you then change the radio to a 6 gigahertz radio as well. We're going to just look at 2 more models within this space. So the 7330i is an entry-level AP. It's 2x2 MIMO across all 3 bands. So it gives us 6 spatial streams. Its throughput is 9.3 gig. It has dual 10 gig uplinks, even at this entry level. And it's best for standard offices, classrooms, passage areas, hospitality industry, things like that. So it is still a tri-radio AP. So we do support all 3 bands with this radio as well. The 7539 is what we'd call a premium mid-range. It's 12 streams. It has 18.4 gigabit as well and a dedicated scanning radio as well. It's a different physical form factor. If we need customers that need the performance of a 7638, but they have a price point that we need to get to, then we could consider using the 7539 instead of our flagship 7638 as well. We also have a few others available in this space, and we're going to look at all of these now, put them all in a single table that you can look at over here. So when you are looking at talking to customers and wanting to understand what the requirements are, this slide will help you to figure out which AP would probably be best suited for that environment that you want to do. Something to keep in mind that Wi-Fi 7 doesn't specifically state that you need to have 3 radios and supply 2.4, 5, and 6 gigahertz bands. There are some, so we started with only running 3 radios because that's what we understood the Wi-Fi 7 standard to be, but we noticed some of our competitors only put in two radios, 2.4 and 5 gigahertz. They did not have 6 gigahertz radios or capability into those APs. And they were at a much lower price point. So we've had to obviously do the same to remain competitive. So when you are in a competitive environment and you're coming across another OEM, and the client specifically states they want all three bands supported, make sure that the client understands that not every Wi-Fi 7 AP is a 3-band or a tri-radio AP, that they need to keep that in mind when they're comparing apples with apples. I noticed on a tender response that we worked on about a month or so ago, actually no, it was about 2 or 3 months back, the requirement was for 2.45 and 6 gigahertz. A competing OEM put in an AP at a much reduced cost that did not comply with that requirement. So we need to make sure that we keep the other OEMs honest when they are responding, that the customer can do a proper like for like. All right. Before we look at specific switch products, let's look at our campus switching credentials, because that story is just as good as our Wi-Fi story as well. So we're the number one campus switch supplier in China, according to IDC. We're in the top 3 globally enterprise switching. So global enterprise switching in 2024, we were within the top 3 there. We have over 150 million Ethernet ports that have been shipped globally, and we have 20 years experience in this space and 20 years of developing our operating system named Comware. So that is our same operating system across our switches, our APs, our security appliances, our routers, etc., etc. What's the advantage of a single OS across all of this space? Well, it's Comware 7 or 9. It's the same operating system that runs across the entire portfolio. It's the same CLI. It's the same policy engine. It's the same AAA zero trust model in every single switch, every single router, every single AP, every single firewall. So this means it's one skill set for our partner engineers. It's a consistent policy enforcement from the data center to the access layer to the wireless edge. It makes it better to manage this environment. And because it's a single OS, when we integrate it with the AD Campus, we have the same dashboard that you can see everything on. And there's no integration tax between networking tiers because our products are obviously fully integratable with each other as well. So in our portfolio, we have a whole range of switches, as you well know. In our data center, our core switches that we're focusing on this year are the 10500X-Gs or the 7500 X-G. Our aggregation switches, the 6526XE, give us 100 gig optional Wi-Fi controller modules in them. Our access layer switches are the 5590s that we're looking at, especially for Wi-Fi 7. We've also got some lower end, I won't call them lower end, but replacements to the 5130s. The 5136s are starting to take up market share there as well. So when we're competing against an incumbent switch vendor, something that I think is very powerful is the single OS story. And we could also ask our customers, how many management platforms do you need to run for your wired, your wireless, and your security? And then we can show them what H3C does, where it's a single pane of glass to manage everything end to end. All right, let's go in a little bit more of a deeper dive into our 7500 and 10500 switches as well. So this is what we're going to be focusing on in today's discussion. They are relatively new platforms in terms of what we've done with the upgrade and with the architecture. I think we're a little bit ahead of what some of our competitors are doing today. So the thing that we have is cost plus architecture. So what is it and why does it matter? So a traditional campus core the backplane architecture, all the cards share one physical fabric. And the problem with that is that there are single points of failure. Even if it's two fabrics, it's still a dual 2 points of failure. And then the bandwidth ceiling is fixed when that chassis is designed. We use orthogonal class X, so it's the same architecture that you would find in hyperscale data center switches, for example. The line cards connect to independent switch fabric units. We call them SFUs, and it's not a shared backplane. There's no single points of failure because the SFUs are redundant and hot swappable. And we have a slot bandwidth of up to 4.6 terabytes bidirectional. Yes, 4.6 terabytes per slot bandwidth capability bidirectional. So that's huge. And it's non-blocking forwarding at full line rate on all the ports simultaneously. Physical advantages, it's front to rear cooling, which is compatible with hot aisle, cold aisle cabinets. Some of our competitors use side airflow, which could become a problem. The chassis are quite compact as well. 10U, 12U, and 18U, so it's excellent density versus rack space as well. And then we have a few integrated service cards that we can add, which gives us a major cost advantage. So our integrated AC controller, so we don't need a separate Wi-Fi controller if we are building with this chassis. The core switch manages all the Wi-Fi 7 APs then. We can integrate firewall cards to give you stateful layer 4 to 7 inspection without a separate appliance. And then we can even add an EERN card, so Ethernet ring protection for resilient campus topologies within this chassis as well. So it's a single chassis for everything. So when we're having discussions with customers and we're up against competition, we can, for example, ask how many separate appliances would you need to replace a 10500 chassis that includes switching, wireless controller, and firewall in one chassis. And so that equals a higher spend in our competitors because they would need to have additional devices as well. So let's look at the three chassis models within this series. So that's the 10500X-G. This one comes in a PoE++ version as well. Then we've got the 8X-G. This one is not PoE. And the 12X-G, this one is not PoE either. So all three chassis, still the same common operating system, Comware version 7. We share the same line cards, the same service modules across these three. The only difference would be is the number of slots that we would use. So the PoE one, the 10506G, 10U, 4 line cards, 2 SFUs. We can get 3.1 terabytes of throughput per slot, up to 296 ports. PoE++ on every single port, depending on how we put the PoE power supplies in there as well. Then the 10508X-G is a 12U. That takes 6 line cards and 4 SFUs, 4.6 terabytes of throughput, and so on and so forth. I'm not going to bore you with the details, but the 10508, we go up to 444 ports, and the 10512, we can go up to 740 ports as well. So we get hyperscale campus and large DC edges with the 12X-G. The 8X-G is put in large enterprises and education campuses, for example, as well. And the 506 is a medium campus core or maybe even distribution aggregation as well. So we could start a customer on a 10506X-G, for example, and we can migrate them to a 10508X-G or 12X-G, migrate both the line cards and the service modules across into the new chassis. So it's the same investment. We don't replace the entire platform. We can just replace the chassis. If they need to get more space, just buy a new chassis as well. So the 10506X-G is positioned for new campuses where we're running Wi-Fi 7 APs and we want to power them via the core switch. So we eliminate PoE switches at the access layer, keeping in mind the 100-meter length issue. but you can definitely do that. Let's look at the 7500X-G. It's a different platform, and it's positioned for multi-service convergence. So how it differs is from the 10500, both are premium campus core switches. The 7500 is for scenarios where we need multi-service convergence. So, for example, when we want to combine Ethernet campus and fiber access or PON infrastructure into a single chassis environment. This speaks to our AON, all optic network, that we have been talking about from last year as well. So we would use a chassis like this to do that. So those line cards for the PON is where we would put those line cards in, have the PON, and be able to split the traffic in a PON type capability, and so still achieve a layer 3 routing between these different networks in a single device as well. So there's a bunch of various models within this. The 7503-G has PoE and multi-fan variants. The 7503-M-G can give us up to 124 ports in 4U. So that's pretty good density in a rack unit. The 756-G MPU, there we can go 4 by 25 gig ports and 6 by 100 gig service ports directly onto the MPU board. So, for example, if we want to stack or have other uplinks into other devices, we can put an MPU board in that and then have the other slots available for other cards as well. So it's the same, in the same way the 10500 as integrated services like integrated Wi-Fi controller, even a firewall card or security cards that we can place in the chassis as well. Then the 3 use cases is a campus core, for example, to replace a legacy backplane core switch. So this isn't a orthogonal class plus switch. This is a normal switch. It does have class fabric, but it isn't orthogonal class. So just keep that in mind. And we can build native 100 gig into this chassis, so we can go 100 gig from the distribution layer if we need to. So we can use this as a routing switch, integrated firewall, AC controller, EERN as well, all in a single chassis. So we reduce appliance sprawl across in the racks. And then, as I've mentioned before, convergent fiber and PON into a single chassis using GPON and XGS PON alongside Ethernet. So for campuses where we are doing fiber to the desk alongside cabling, so hospitals, universities, smart buildings, dormitories in universities, things like that as well. So pro tip, this chassis is ideal for education and healthcare customers who mention fiber extension or reduced cabling infrastructure. So our PON convergence is quite unique in a campus environment, and we could then talk about this switch to our customers as well. So let's see how we compare against market alternatives. Don't worry, I'm not mentioning any competitors by name. You can draw your own conclusions, but let's look at what we have here. So we compare against 2 categories, traditional backplane designs and conventional class competitors. We're not going to name the vendors. You can draw your own conclusions, as I've said. So forwarding architecture, our H3C class plus is non-backplane. So if our competitor has a backplane design, we can ask questions like, are the fabric planes redundant and not swappable? Most legacy campus cores can't answer yes to that. Integrated services, we include our controller and firewall and EERN in the chassis. Some of our competitors require separate appliances. So that means more hardware, more lines, more licenses. It's a higher total cost of ownership. Integrating a Wi-Fi controller into a chassis, because we have the same common OS integration, that's not replicated by other OEMs because they typically would have separate OSs, a separate OS for the Wi-Fi, separate OS for their controller and a separate OS for their chassis. We have a single OS across everything, so the integration is very, very tight with our product point. And then the price point, we're extremely competitive when we are combining all of these into a single chassis when we factor in all those costs. When we are competing against another OEM, something to think about is ask for a total cost of ownership comparison rather than a list price comparison, because we've seen this happen before. And when we're comparing like for like and building a use case, total cost of ownership is actually what counts, not what your price is now, but what it's going to be over the next 3 to 5 years as well. So when we include the wireless controllers, the firewall appliances, the management licenses, all of those things that we bundle together, it's probably pretty visible that our cost is always going to be lower. Right, let's look at one more section before our Q&A. I just want to wrap up about our Active Directory campus, sorry, not Active Directory, our AD campus. And then we'll look at how we can pursue these opportunities. All right. As I've said, those that know me, our management is our key differentiator. AD Campus version 7 is intent-based networking automation. We manage all of our switches, all of our Wi-Fi APs, all of our security appliances from a single platform with one policy engine. So that reduces operational complexity by up to 70%. And we have 3 capability layers within our AD Campus solution. We have unified wired and wireless. So one controller, it doesn't matter for the switches, it's a single controller to manage all of our switches, the same controller to manage our Wi-Fi 7 APs and Wi-Fi controllers. And this gives us zero-touch provisioning for our APs. We just plug it in and it self-configures. You plug in more switches and that self-configure as well. And we have a shared identity and access policy across both wired and wireless. So your user experience and access that users have is a single policy, essentially, that follows the user regardless of how they connect into the network. Intent-based automation. So this is the business intent that gets converted to a network policy that is translated. We also use AI anomaly detection and self-healing without any manual thresholds. And then our automated RRM, we look at the channel power bandwidth and we optimize that for all Wi-Fi 7 APs. Now, our AD Campus 7 platform will continuously monitor the performance of the Wi-Fi and continuously make adjustments to give it peak performance within the environment as well. Then key is analytics, assurance, visibility. It's all good and well to have the others, but if you don't have this, you're also a little bit blind in the environment. So per user, per device visibility in real time. We give you Wi-Fi coverage heat maps and SLA reporting in real time. And we can export compliance reports, especially if we're in the healthcare and finance industry that we're proposing solutions, they'll want to take care of this as well. So pro tip, a live demo is probably our most powerful tool here. AD Campus 7 has a polished GUI, so generally a 5-minute walkthrough on AD Campus is probably a lot more worthwhile than a 20-minute slide deck presentation as well. So if we want to arrange a quick 5-minute demo, we do have a live Wi-Fi AD Campus solution running that we can show how it looks. All right, let's look at the new access and aggregation switches. So I'm just going to keep this very brief. The 5590 is what we would want to use when we're specifically talking about Wi-Fi 7 access switches. It's PoE++. Sorry, my reminder's going off in the background. Just give me a... Okay, so this gives us PoE++ at 90 watts per port. And that is definitely guaranteed to power our most demanding Wi-Fi 7 APs because the power draw initially is quite high. And that's just true for most Wi-Fi 7 APs, high performance APs anyway. It's also green Ethernet. So this means that we manage from our AD Campus platform, we manage the power output. We can hibernate it like we do with our APs when we need to as well. And we would use this to replace 5130s and 5560s when we are busy talking about upgrades, for example. Now, the 5136 is a 10 gig access switch. We have introduced this to replace the 5130s. It's also EVPN and VXLAN capable, so it's future ready for campus network. It also replaces the 5560 and 5130 legacy switches. The 6526E, 6526XE, this one is going to replace the 6520s. It has 100 gig uplinks. We have a wire speed of 3.3 terabytes forwarding, and we can connect the switch back to our core as well. The HI variant embeds an AC control module for branch or satellite campus deployments. So we can have the 10500 as the main chassis in the head office or in the data center, have a Wi-Fi controller in there to manage what's happening in the head office, and then have this 6526E in the branch and have the controller manage the APs that are in the branch and then manage it hierarchically with AD Campus, for example. So these switches would be part of a full refresh story when we're busy replacing everything end to end. Let me close with some, I double clicked there, sorry. Let me close with some guidance on how we would do the sales strategy. So some conversation starters and some questions a person can ask when you're talking to customers. Let's focus on the education sector, for example. It's a good place to sell Wi-Fi 7. The healthcare environment we can talk to as well. This will be a good environment as well. Enterprise offices, we can talk about that. Hybrid work. If you have unpredictable density patterns, MLO definitely helps to sort this out. Even government and SOEs. If we have existing H3C switches in there, then this makes a good upgrade path. If not, we can still propose H3C in this environment. So you can look at the conversation starters that you need there. So some deal winning moves, or what we would talk about, is lead with the WBA certification. This is a real world third-party validated certificate. We can also show the 10500G class plus architecture versus our competitors' backplane. We get better performance and a smaller footprint. We can demonstrate our AD Campus unified demo, which is the same control, whether we're running Wi-Fi or fiber or copper. And then talk about the total cost of ownership that you get from a single OS, fewer appliances, and running AD Campus basic management as well. Not free management. I don't know why that free came in there. So why H3C? Why now? Wi-Fi 6 has been announced in a lot of OEMs as end of sale. So there's an urgency there. And we're the only vendor offering a WBA certified Wi-Fi 7 performance and data center grade plus campus and campus core and single platform wide wireless management at a very competitive price point. So the action that we would ask our partners to do is register your opportunities. Look at your customers who have Wi-Fi 6 that have been deployed between 2019 and 2022 and call them. Let's get in front of them. Let's talk to them about our Wi-Fi 7 solutions, what we can do within the campus. Offer them a wireless site survey, and you could probably get a qualified opportunity within the next 2 to 3 weeks when you do something like that. So that's my presentation completed. Thank you very much. We have some Q&A time that we can talk and answer any questions. This QR code that I've put here is to register for our active security presentation. That's on the 8th of May. If you have any questions, please feel free to ask. Thank you.
So, Mark.
Yes, sir. Thank
you.
Maybe,
maybe this is a question, and I think we have, spitballed around this before, but the one thing that confuses me is which AP model to choose, because there just seems to be a lot. And firstly, thank you for that portfolio summary there. It's really going to help me a lot when trying to choose an AP. But, when you find that there's so little difference between the APs, does it make sense to have so many? That's just something that I always think about. Because, I kind of sit there for like 10, 15 minutes going, I could do this one, but this one would also work. That one is also looks good, and then I end up just going on price.
Yes. Well, I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to share this slide in our WhatsApp group. Danny, you wanted to say something first. Go for it.
Yeah. So if I can jump in, it also depends on what problem you're looking to solve. So if it's just a basic scenario and you need to, support 100 users and a normal range, then yes, go on cheapest that fits the budget, has the correct number of radios and MIMOs. The reason there's so many is there's a few reasons. So like Mark reached out to initially, a lot of the other vendors are advertising Wi-Fi 7, but their APs only have dual radios and they don't actually have a 6 gigahertz radio. So they're doing clever things with the 5 gigahertz that gives greater throughput. So we need to compete against the dual band radios and the tri-band radios. Then some of our radios, it will say tri-band, but it's got a fourth radio that's there for RRM. So Wi-Fi 7 introduces true Wi-Fi first technologies where it's absolutely mission critical, where you're running hospitals and manufacturing facilities and even mines and huge multi-million-dollar machinery where you need those additional radios. So you might see that we have multiple APs there that have 3 radios and all 2x2 MIMOs, but one might have that intelligent scanning radio, like the 733R. I think that R is the one. Don't quote me on that. Yeah. It's all new to us as well. Then also the physical interfaces. So some of them, the copper can only do 2.5 or 5 plus an SFP cage. So there's minor differences. It all depends on what you're trying to solve for. Also, if you've been introduced to our new active optical networking scenario where you're not running copper to the AP, we have APs that will fit better into that scenario. So if it's a stock standard environment and you're looking to rather do Wi-Fi 7 opposed to Wi-Fi 6, agreed, go on the cheapest one that meets your MIMO and client requirement.
If you, it's
the finer details. Sorry, Mark. It's the finer details where you're going to go in, and then you're solving for a problem, and then you'll notice the differences.
Well, this slide helps you, Shiraz, in solving for the problem, like Danny said, because we've identified what it's best for. We know what the uplink speeds are, and then we know what the max performance rate is, and then how many radios it has. And then so that might make it a bit easier. So like Danny said, when you know what the problem is you're trying to solve, you can then look at this and then go, well, I don't need 10 gig. I actually only need 2.5 gig throughput, and it's a mid-range type of environment. They don't really care about 6 gigahertz. So the 7220HI might be a good one to put there as an example.
Yeah, or to build on that even more, some of our APs do that mode switching, as Mark mentioned, some of them don't. So if you've got an environment where we know it's a fixed environment, it's a warehouse, and they got these brand new Wi-Fi 7 enabled scanners, I don't have to worry about mode switching. There's a cheaper AP, that kind of scenario. And then just to make your life even more easy, I'm not sure if you've seen on our config under Easy Choose, they've added APs now as well. And it breaks it down into every single possible metric. So again, if you're solving for a problem, our config will Easy Choose will make your life a lot easier as well.
Yeah, awesome. Thanks. And like this will definitely help. But
this is unbelievable. I want it, please, Mark.
No problem.
What was also helpful, Mark, was that Excel spreadsheet.
A competitive.
No, not the competitive one. The one where you basically inputted your requirements and it kind of, yeah, well, actually it did, right? It not only gave you what model you should choose based on what you're looking for, but there was also a bit of comparative info to say like for tenders, and that if the customer is calling for a Cisco 9300, you could basically tell.
That was about 3 years ago or something, that spreadsheet, right?
Yeah, I'm gonna just look for it here quickly. I still have it and just give you the name that it was called. Yeah, like the campus switch assistant.
Yeah, but
Yes,
we've also
That's what
got
it's
that.
called.
We've also got that for partners, the comparative, that PDF that compares to the other vendors. So that I don't think we've had an updated one for this year. Oh, we had one in the beginning of
did.
Jan, but I'm sure, I'm
Yeah.
sure there's a new one imminent. And what's also nice about that is it highlights where the competitors don't do true Wi-Fi 7, which also highlights massively for us. And what's really nice about that also is it shows our throughputs are often double the competitors at the same price point, which is a nice metric to use as a H3C.
So Shiraz, that Excel spreadsheet was replaced by what is it called again on iConfig? My mind's just hit a blank now, Danny.
What, the Easy Choose on iConfig?
Thank you. It's called Easy Choose. Yeah. So that Excel spreadsheet was replaced by Easy Choose on iConfig. Shiraz.
Okay. Yeah, I'll go look for it. Yeah, because I'm looking at it here, and it was really awesome. You could basically choose your scenarios in enterprise, industrial. You want layer 2, layer 3. What's your predominant port type, and then it would start filtering out.
That was a manual version of Easy Choose. So if you're not familiar with Easy Choose on our config, to get onto it nice and quickly into our config, go to pots and then go Easy Choose, because then you'll see the Wi-Fi nice and easily there. And it's the exact same. And we have it for data center switching, campus switching, routers, and Wi-Fi. So it's pretty much everything networking. And it does it real time for you with the products pricing. If they end of sale, as Mark mentioned, the Wi-Fi 6 products, we're starting to EOS them as we go through the year. So here it's also nice if you're responding to a tender or working on a client and you know they're looking for 6 months or 8 months time, don't do the EOS product. What's also nice, I'm using it a lot as my pre-sale strategy, is I'm saying to the customer, you want Wi-Fi 6, here's your price, but I can give you Wi-Fi 7 and it's only whatever it is, 8% more, 10% more. Sometimes it's actually a little bit cheaper because you have an AP that fits better. And the uptake on it has been, I'd probably say over 90%. The customers saying, yep, I want the Wi-Fi 7. Very few are saying, you know what, we're good for 6. So it's a nice strategy to use.
Awesome. Yeah, but this slide also is awesome. The slide will help you.
Amazing.
I'll share it on the group a little bit later today.
Maybe, Mark, we can do a poll on the group also for anyone who's not familiar with our config. Maybe we can do a quick informal, don't have to make a whole tech talk, just do a quick 30-minute our config update. Also, we can poll if guys don't have access, we can work with them so they have that tool in their arsenal.
Yeah, let me just make a note here. Oh, I config. All right. Okay. Any other questions? Thank you, Shiraz.
Pleasure.
I knew I could depend on you.
Thanks for the updates. They're really really informative. Thanks, guys.
Welcome. So our next session will be on the 8th of May. The 1st of May is a public holiday, in case you didn't know. So we've moved it to the 8th of May. We're going to be talking about our security. If you want to register, scan the QR code. Please keep that in mind.